Hello and welcome to this special webinar from UK EdChat. I'm Martin. You can find out more about me by going to my handle on Twitter, which is ICTMagic. To find out more about UK EdChat, you can go to ukedchat.com or again, follow us on Twitter using the handle UK EdChat. This is the second of a series of webinars about ebooks and also about audiobooks, which is a fascinating topic. And if you haven't seen the first episode, then please do find it. It should be in our show notes, which accompany this episode. And today we're digging a little bit deeper into perhaps students who maybe need a little bit more support within the classroom. And I have a special guest to talk about this topic with me. So, special guest, can I ask you to introduce yourself? And then at the end of this session, if we have some questions, then we'll go through those questions. But for the time being, that's it from me, and I'll see you on the other side.
Great. Thank you so much, Martin. My name is Meredith Wimhoff, and I am an account manager at Overdrive Education. I have the pleasure of working with primary and secondary schools throughout the United Kingdom. I'm going to share my screen with you now. And thank you for joining us today as we explore supporting special needs students with ebooks and audiobooks, as Martin mentioned. So today we will take a look at Sora. What is Sora? And how Sora supports students with special education needs, as well as why Sora works for every reader. Then we'll take a look at real-world success stories. And finally, we will answer a few queries at the end. So, what is Sora? Sora is the student reading app that allows users to access their school's digital collection of ebooks, audiobooks, and read-along titles from any device. Sora is from Overdrive Education and is used by more than 48,000 schools worldwide to achieve literacy goals and support curriculum instruction. It's easy to curate. Schools within the United Kingdom can build their own unique curated collection of digital titles, or they can choose to join with an eBooks Now subscription. These are existing shared collections of digital titles that are set as your core, and you'll be able to add on your own unique titles to support your specific students. Sora also provides a diverse range of titles from millions of flexibly priced ebooks and audiobooks from the industry's largest catalog to meet your school's personal individualized needs. Now, how does Sora support students with special educational needs? Well, there's the 24/7 access. This promotes greater equity and allows for expanded voice and choice for students. Shortly, we'll take a look at some of the built-in personalization and learning tools within Sora. The audiobook and read-along formats in particular are often more enjoyable for students that have visual, language, and/or processing challenges. Plus, Sora is easy to use independently, providing students with autonomy and a sense of accomplishment. Schools have the ability to create their own digital collection of titles. In addition to traditional ebooks in English, there are excellent, unique formats, including audiobooks, which students can then increase or decrease the playback speed on their audiobook titles. This increases the comprehension. There's also the sleep timer, which I like to use as I often listen to my audiobooks prior to going to bed. That way, it doesn't play all the way through and I lose my spot. Read-along titles are a great option as well. This is an ebook paired with the professional narration so that the students simultaneously see the written word as well as hear it being read aloud to them. Graphic novels and comics are an excellent option to engage readers of all abilities. There are extensive options for content in languages other than English as well. So whether that is to support world language curriculum in your school or to provide students with access to content in their first language, you'll find thousands of titles to choose from. Sora's personalization features improve reading accessibility. So within the ebook reader itself, Students can customize their reading experience with adjustable fonts, text sizes, and screen lighting. One of my favorite options is the Open Dyslexic font. With this, the words are weighted at the bottom, and there is special spacing used to increase that readability. Not only can the user set their ebooks to open with whatever they choose, but they can also use this Open Dyslexic font to experience the entire app experience itself. Similarly, users can select the high contrast mode for their app setting. So this ensures that when a student opens the Sora app, it's going to open in the way that makes the most sense to them, and they don't have to make those setting choices each time. Digital classroom tools that make it easier to work with text. So you'll never hear that excuse of, I forgot to bring my book. It's no longer a valid excuse. Students will have their title with them when they open up Sora, as well as any notes and highlights that they have made. These remain with the student's account even after the title's been returned. Students can export their notes and highlights, so whether that's to turn in for an assignment to their teacher, or perhaps for their own personal practice and revision. Within the Sora app, students can define individual words to increase their reading comprehension. The Define feature also allows a user to define a phrase or a sentence. They can then link out to different options, including Google Translate. Why Sora works for every reader? As previously mentioned, students can access your digital library anytime, during weekends or holidays, and even if your physical library space is temporarily closed. Students can access GCSE and A-level set texts and study guides, along with leisure and interest titles, the latest releases, or maybe a book that is about to be made into a Netflix series. Students love to read the book option prior to seeing the film or TV adaptation. There are plenty of excellent resources for teachers and staff as well. Continuing professional development, ebooks and audiobook titles can be enjoyed in Sora by your teachers and staff. Overdrive Education, in partnership with our publishing partners, regularly provide bundles of no-cost collections to support schools. Here on the screen are examples of titles included in our existing bundles. These titles are always available. What that means is there's no waitlist or holds, as many users can borrow the title at the same time. Right now, featured are the following topics: Social and Emotional Learning collection, both for young readers as well as older students. This collection also includes continuing professional development titles for teachers on the topic of social and emotional learning. We also have the Spanish language titles for young readers. There are both read-alongs and ebook titles in Spanish for students who might want to practice another language or see how much they can comprehend, even if that's not something they're actively learning in school right now. We also have the Own Voices and Diversity books for students. This bundle of books includes topics on a variety of different diversity in terms of race, gender, ability, sexuality. It's a great way to let students see themselves represented or see others represented in the world. And finally, classic literature. We have thousands of classic titles available at no cost in this always available option that can be used for both pleasure reading as well as for curriculum needs. That way, you can have your Shakespeare, your Dickens, your Jane Austen titles available for your students at no cost, and your budget can go towards other titles that may be more high interest or the later releases. Speaking of always available titles, this is also known as Simultaneous Use Lending model. When available, schools can choose to purchase titles in this model, and that allows for entire year levels or classes to read the same title at the same time. We're happy to help you search and shop this model. Another excellent option is the class set rental model. This also ensures that every student has a copy. This is a flexible rental option that delivers the title to the student at the beginning of the assigned period and then will disappear from their account at the end of the predetermined lending period, which is set by the publisher. These are perfect for your classroom reads. On the screen, you see a few examples of titles that are available in this lending model, and they can't be lost, stolen, or damaged. Students will have the book for the entirety of that predetermined period and be able to use them for the assignment. Summer reading is really important as well. You want your students to continue educating themselves and practicing those skills that are so important all year round. So each year, May, June, July, and August, Sora offers several programs to keep students engaged and reading. I particularly like that these programs begin while school is still in session. This allows teachers and staff to promote the programs as well as use them for instruction. Students will then be able to enjoy their remaining titles even during summer holiday. The first image on the screen is the Sora Sweet Reads program, and these titles are in that always available option, all readers, both eBooks and some audiobooks, and they're available every year at no cost to your school for that summer break. The AudioFile Sync program is a weekly program run by AudioFile in which students will sign up themselves and they will be able to get 2 audiobooks each week. They're thematically paired and great to discover different topics, and these ones will never expire from your student's shelf. So if they participate in the program, they'll get the books, they'll download them in Sora, and they'll be able to enjoy them anytime. The Sora Reading app is available in 10 languages. Selecting another language, such as Spanish or Chinese, will not change the language of the titles themselves, but rather the interface of Sora. This is great for any of your English language learners so that they can navigate through the app, get to where they need to go, and then once they open their books in English, they can begin building up that comprehension and that understanding. Sora syncs across multiple devices. A student can open Sora in a web browser on a computer while at school, and then continue reading from their phone or tablet once at home. Sora remembers exactly where a student left off in their ebook or audiobook. Additionally, students can download a title to read offline. So perhaps your student is using their internet connection while in the school building to download their ebook or audiobook. That way, they won't need to use their data or worry about an internet connection at home. If your school does not currently have a digital library, this may all sound very overwhelming. Don't worry, with Sora, your school will have a dedicated team to support you every step along the way. In addition to myself as the account manager, you will have a collection development specialist to assist in selecting titles and displaying them in an engaging way for your students when they open up Sora. You'll also have a product support specialist for any technical needs and queries. A variety of resources are available to you on demand as well on the Overdrive Resource Center. On the administrative side of things, your school will have access to reading data and statistics. This is so important because you can see how much time is being spent reading, how many books are opened, and real-time data on the students' reading, especially with those class set rentals. This can help to inform your purchasing decisions as well as how you're going to promote to your student body and make sure that this resource is being used and getting the most out of it. I briefly mentioned earlier that schools in the United Kingdom have the option to build their own collection from the ground up, or they can also join one of the existing eBooks Now shared collections. There's one geared towards primary students with over 1,700 ebooks and audiobooks tailored to that primary level, including classic reads, as well as a lot of your exciting, engaging titles, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, David Walliams, etc. The secondary eBooks Now collection includes over 2,000 titles, and it is specially curated with keeping in mind GCSE and A-level set texts and those high interest titles. You can learn more using the QR code on the screen. If your school opts to join one of those eBooks Now shared collections, you'll still have the ability to purchase additional copies or unique titles via the Advantage program. So even if the title that you're looking to use isn't already included in one of the packages, you can add it in on top of those existing titles that were mentioned. Now let's take a look at two real-world examples. You can access the full case study via the QR code in the upper right-hand corner. Morehouse School is an independent all-boys school that offers specialist support, especially for boys with specific learning and language-based difficulties, including dyslexia, developmental language disorders, and dyspraxia. So in addition to looking for ebooks and print books, Morehouse wanted some additional formats, specifically audiobooks and read-along titles, to meet the needs of their students. Sora had an extensive audiobook collection to choose from. Its easy-to-use interface and personalized learning tools made it an excellent choice. The collection is popular not only with students, but parents as well. It's been integrated into their summer reading list and is displayed prominently in the school library. Working with Lucy Marshall, the librarian at Morehouse School, has been a pleasure. One of my favorite things was to hear that students are now viewing themselves as readers because of audiobooks and read-along titles. Previously, because of some of their developmental difficulties or language processing issues, they didn't see themselves as readers, but now they feel empowered and excited whenever new titles are added to their digital library. Another school, Arkelven Academy. This is a secondary school in sixth form, serving students in London. And around 78% of the students there are English as an additional language learners. So the 2020 pandemic forced students to transition to remote learning, like countless students across the globe. Arkelven realized that they needed more than just their print books to be able to support their students. They joined that secondary eBooks Now shared collection and began using Sora. They've also added their own unique titles via the Advantage program to further customize and meet the needs of their specific students. They have reported that Sora is a valuable tool in the classroom and the school library. And since 2020, when they launched, 82% of their pupils and staff have begun using Sora. And there's been an uptick in reading enthusiasm, especially among the EAL cohort. It's been a great pleasure as well working with Joe Jenner and their school. And we're very excited for them to continue talking about Sora to other schools within their trust. And if that's the right option for them as well, figuring out how we can best support the unique needs of their school, students, and teachers. As mentioned, we left a little time for some questions, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mark to present those.
Hello, that's fantastic. I've learned so much. I love the way that the app can be personalized. So the special font and the high contrast between it. I just know loads of the pupils that I teach would absolutely love that and will find it really useful. So a couple of questions for you. You mentioned that Sora may have some of the next big Netflix hits as in book form. But people also always say, don't watch the film, read the book first. So turning to the audiobook, do you think the same is true? In your opinion, should students read the book first, or is it useful to listen to the audiobook first?
Thank you. I love that question. A lot of times teachers and librarians hear, audiobooks are cheating. You need to read it first. So actually, a recent study from neuroscientists at the University of California, Berkeley, found that whether you read it or you listen to it, you're activating the same parts of your brain. So in other words, audiobooks are not cheating. In my opinion, students should read in the format that makes the most sense to them. And many secondary students prefer audiobooks due to time. They can read while they're multitasking. Perhaps they want to read while they're traveling to and from school or exercising or one of the other million things that teenagers do each day. Audiobooks are also fantastic because you can comprehend at a higher level than your current reading level. So students who might not be able to read a physical print book or an ebook of a title might be able to enjoy that same story if it's being read to them. And as I mentioned, within Sora, the student can increase or decrease the playback speed, which can help. So if the narrator is talking a little too fast, they can slow it down and make sure that they're comprehending what they're hearing.
That's great. And you spoke about summer texts, but what else is available for the school time calendar? So do you have eBooks which can support special dates within the school diary? So I'm thinking about perhaps Pride Month or Black History Month.
Absolutely. Within the Sora app, your school has complete control over how you display the titles. So this is like a virtual book display. These can be updated at any time, and we do encourage you to do so on a monthly, regular basis. That way, when a student opens Sora, they're seeing new engaging content. Tying into themes for the school year or the overall calendar year are a great way to display the titles that you've selected that meet those needs. So you read the rainbow and have a bunch of titles that support pride, or the future is female when you are putting together some titles for Women's History Month are all great options and things that your Overdrive team can support you with as well.
Excellent, thank you for that. And my last question, how can eBooks be used as a study text within the classroom?
Absolutely. So we mentioned earlier that the notes and highlights that are taken within Sora remain with that student's account. This is one of the things I love the most, is even though a title has been returned on my account, I still can see anything I've highlighted. I can export those. And if I check out the title again and I open it up, all my notes and highlights are right there in that text. We have a lot of great options, including those no-cost options to support schools with their studies, as well as study guides too are available for you. If you want to have both Pride and Prejudice as well as a study guide for Pride and Prejudice, these are great resources for your students as they are revising for their exams.
That's great. Thank you very much. So just to remind everybody that all of the links that have been mentioned within this presentation should be available in the show notes, and the show note link should be wherever you're watching this. So Meredith, thank you ever so much for joining me once again. And I do encourage everybody to watch the first episode of this series that we're doing at the moment. It's fascinating and will give you a really good background information about all of what we've discussed today as well.
Thank you so much, Martin. I also failed to mention that Sora follows the WCAG guidelines when it comes to screen reader support. So Sora includes skip links, alt text, labeled elements, logical tabbing, and much more. So that was another aspect of Sora that I failed to include earlier, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that students who utilize screen readers will also be able to do so with Sora.
And there's so much of Sora to explore. So if anybody does have those curiosities, then you have the links on your screen now. Go and check it out and go find out more. So Meredith, thank you ever so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Martin. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye everybody. Thank you for watching.